College tuition rates, causing students to receive a lifetime of debt with their degrees. All over the United States, high school seniors have to make the same tough decision, whether or not they go to college, and if so, which one. For many students, including me, one of the biggest deciding factors for this is cost. For example, I know that several of my senior classmates decided to go to my hometown's university simply because it was so much cheaper than leaving town. High tuition rates are the main reason why getting a higher education is so expensive, and it's a big problem. Higher tuition rates are detrimental to furthering the education of our youth, as well as the financial well-being of a lot of college graduates. Tuition rates in the US right now are way too high and desperately need to be lowered. According to Student Loan Hero, an organization dedicated to helping students repay loans, in January of 2018, Americans owed over $1.48 trillion in student loan debt, spread out among about 44 million borrowers. This is about $620 billion more than the total amount of US credit card debt. While it's cool that so many people are trying to get an education, it's also pretty sad that so many people have to put themselves in debt to get it. The biggest reason that a college education costs so much more is because the government doesn't fund public higher education as much as they used to. In the article Student Debt, Craig Smith writes that one of the problems facing higher education systems is the pattern of states stepping back from investing taxpayer dollars in public higher education. This means that college education isn't more expensive because it's more valuable than it used to be. It's more expensive simply because the government doesn't value affordable education as much as it used to. Many members of older generations like to argue that college isn't that expensive, and a reasonable solution for paying off tuition costs is that students simply work while in school. This is a pretty terrible solution for many reasons. When people from older generations like my grandfather went to school, tuition was low enough that it could actually be paid off by working in school. Now, however, tuition costs are way higher, and while working in school might pay off a little bit of tuition, it certainly won't be able to cover all of it. The jobs you can get while in college also don't pay very well. Part of the purpose of getting a college degree is so that you're qualified to work at higher paying jobs. Without having a degree yet, it's pretty difficult to find a high-paying job. It's even harder to find a job that has flexible hours for a college student's schedule and pays much more than minimum wage. Even if students qualify for work-study plans, which offer on-campus jobs with very flexible hours, they can only earn a set amount of money each semester based on the results of their FAFSA. If they need to make any more than that to pay for tuition, they're out of luck. Working while enrolled as a full-time college student can also be extremely detrimental to the health and success of students. According to the article Undesirable Effects of Working While in College, Work-School Conflict, Substance Use, and Health, working while enrolled in college can be associated with a number of substance use behaviors, as well as increased depressive symptoms and worse physical health in a large and diverse sample of college students. On top of that, many students won't have time to work outside of class, effectively study for their courses, and still get a healthy amount of sleep. In my personal experience as a college student, I consistently get about 6 hours of sleep on weekdays because I have to stay up until 1 or 2 a.m. just trying to finish assignments on time, before getting up again at 7 the next day. I don't even have time to find a job, let alone work while taking college courses. Some people claim that high tuition rates is not the main cause of student debt, but instead that students borrowing irresponsibly is. They suggest that educating students not to borrow irresponsibly will help alleviate student debt. In his article addressing student debt in the classroom, David Perkins states that when helping students figure out how much money they should borrow, that he suggests the 8% rule as a starting point with an explanation of its origin and shortcomings. The 8% rule basically tells students that they should take out loans so that their future monthly loan payments won't exceed 8% of their future monthly income after graduation. However, this is also a terrible solution to reducing student debt. Borrowing money for a college education isn't like getting your first credit card and learning not to buy new clothes if you can't afford them. Many high schoolers are informed that a college degree is a necessity in order to be successful in life, and for many career choices, like teaching, it is in order to get a job. Students just don't have the option to not go to college if they can't take out what's considered a responsible amount of student loans. They either take out enough money in student loans to cover a college education, or they don't get an education. There is no in between for them. The most reasonable solution for reducing student debt is to just lower tuition costs. High college tuition rates make a college degree worth less for those that can't afford an education without taking out student loans. According to William Elliott, founder of the Assets in Education Initiative and associate professor at the University of Kansas, in his article Student Loans, Are We Getting Our Money's Worth?, the student loan program prevents loan-burdened four-year college graduates from reaping equal returns on their education as classmates who graduate debt-free. So if you come from a low-income family, but still manage to work hard enough to get into a good college and get a degree despite having more challenges in life than your more financially stable classmates, after both of you graduate, you will still be making less money than your classmates with the exact same degree, simply because you have to pay off student debt and they don't. High college tuition rates are essentially making a higher education either inaccessible or a huge financial struggle for those that could benefit from it the most. Even individuals who are qualified to pursue higher education at great universities like Harvard might have to settle for a community college simply because they weren't lucky enough to get a full-ride scholarship and can't afford the education they deserve without one. One of the biggest markers of a great society is how educated its individuals are. Countries are often compared by their literacy rate. In schools all over the United States, teachers are being pushed to provide higher test scores from their students to prove that our youth is getting a quality education. Why do we stop caring about quality of education after high school? If we want to keep progressing as a society, we need to place a higher value on education and make it more accessible to students by lowering tuition costs.